All right, guys, this is the last lesson for chapter 14. It's kind of long, but maybe I'll do some of the examples, not all. We have a filled in unit circle, and we learned that when you are asked for sine, they're asking for the y value, cosine the x value, and then tangent's a combination of the y and the x, but we do have the tangent values on here so that we are not stuck doing that y divided by x every single time, because that's pretty time consuming and can get messy. So these first examples, and there's a lot of them, so I'm not sure if I'll go through all or not. It says find the exact value, meaning off of the unit circle, leave it as a square root, don't change it to a decimal. It's basically telling you where to go and what to find. So this is telling you to find y at this location. So you got to get kind of comfortable with the unit circle to say like, oh, here's 5 pi fourths. Here's the y value, negative root 2 over 2. So you're just looking at what is it asking for. This is cosine. That's asking for the x at this location. So I go to 150, I find the x, and my answer is negative root 3 over 2. So I always use that periodic table example. Like the more familiar you are with it, the easier it is to find stuff. Like here, negative 270. So you have to kind of think this one through. So negative means I'm going to go down instead of up. And I'm going to go down to past 90, past 180, and then this mark is our negative 270 mark. So I'm actually at this point, and it's asking for the y at that location. And the y at that location is 1. Cosine of negative 2 pi thirds. So here's what I do. I find positive 2 pi thirds, and it's 1 quadrant plus the first line. So I go that same distance in the other direction. So I would go 1 quadrant and then to the first line, making this negative 2 pi thirds. Because keep in mind, negative just means direction, but you're going the same distance as if you went positive 2 pi thirds. So figure out how far is it if I go to 2 pi thirds and go that same distance in the other direction. And then because it's cosine, find the x, so negative 1/2. All right, let me clean up my unit circle a little bit. Okay, then I am on tangent at 120. So here's 120, here's my tangent, this is my answer. So this is just like a scavenger hunt. Now think, because you're going to negative 45. So if I went up to 45, I'd go to the second line, but I'm going to go down 45, so I go down to the second line. That's this whole thing, and the tangent value's out here at negative 1. Negative pi halves. Okay, well, positive pi halves is right here at the like quadrant line up 90. So I'm going to go down 90. That'll put me at this spot. That is negative pi halves. And it's asking me for the y value, which is negative 1. This is asking me for the x value at the same spot. I have the same spot, negative pi halves. And at that spot, the x value is 0. So try not to make these like super difficult. Okay, number 9 is actually asking me for the tangent in the same exact spot. I'm still at negative pi halves, so I'm still at the bottom of the circle. And my tangent value there is undefined because tangent comes from y over x. And in this case, that would put a 0 on the bottom, which is sad face. How about pi? We know where pi is. Pi is over here at 180. Sine is asking for the y. Using my eyeballs, I see that the y value is 0. The cosine at that same spot is negative 1. And then the tan would be the y over the x, but we also have it listed up here on our circle. 0 over a number is 0. So in these problems, you just go to the right angle, so whatever angle it is, or I should say go to the given angle, because I don't want you to think it's a 90. So go to the given theta, which is going to be whatever's here, and find the sine, which is y, or the cosine, which is x, or the tangent, which is the combo, but also listed on our unit circle. So that's kind of phase 1. Phase 2, there's a lot of examples. We are going to use the unit circle to solve. So here we're going to go to the unit circle and find where is a certain value located. So here our answers are the angles. not the coordinates. Whereas up here, for these problems, our answers are coordinates, meaning x's, y's. So it's kind of backwards. So here, this question is asking me, like what location, where is, and since this is sine, y equal to -1/2. That's what it's asking. So I just look and see like where is the y value -1/2? Here and here. And since it says from 0 to 360, it's asking for my answer in degrees. So that would be 330 degrees. And then also over here, and it's very common to have two spots where the answer exists. This middle question is asking where is the x -√2/2. I know that √2/2 is a medium, so it's got to be in the middle. And for me to have a negative x, I'm going to have to be over in quadrants 2 and 3. So the more I know, the faster I can find. This is a spot where it has a -√2/2 for x, so 135. I did not mean to write negative, sorry. And then another spot where my x is -√2/2 is at 225. So thinking of this as asking for an x and knowing it's negative helps me locate that better. Tangent of 0, so those are those outside numbers. Well, I see here's a tangent of 0, and there's always one straight across from it. So that would be at 0 degrees, and then also at, 180 degrees, since this is asking for my answers in degrees. Now this one is asking for the radian. So you're still just looking for the spot, but you're going to give your answers in the pi form instead. So here, this is sine. I'm looking for where y has that value. So I go up here and I look to see where is y √3/2. And I find a spot here and a spot here. They're looking for the radian answers though. So I'm going to say that happens at 2 pi over 3 and also pi over 3. Cosine is x, and it's asking where it will be -1/2. So I'm looking to see, just get rid of this mess, sorry. Where will my x be -1/2? And again, negative x's are over here. So this is a spot and this is a spot. They're asking for the radian answer. So I'm going to use that form of the angle. It's already on there. So it's like the periodic table. I don't have to come up with the information. I just need to know where to look for it. In 8, it wants me to find a sine, which is going to be a y value that has √2/2. So y being positive is going to be on the top. So I see one here and I see another one here. So if I look at their radian measure, that's at pi over 4 and 3 pi over 4. So I'm just finding where the values exist. So where's my tangent 0? Right here and right here. So that's at 0 and then pi, because they want my answers in radians. And last, where's my tangent -1? Okay, well, keeping in mind that tangent's positive here, negative, positive, negative, I'm going to look in quadrants 1 and 3. I see it here and here, so that goes with 7 pi over 4 and 3 pi over 4. So those are my two spots, 3 pi over 4 and 7 pi over 4. So in the first round of examples, they told us where to go and what to find. Here they're telling us what we should be looking for as a value, and we have to tell them where we located it. But it's all just looking at the unit circle and finding the proper thing. Now, you're going to do something you've done since forever, and that is solve. But you're going to add one step, which is looking up on the unit circle like we just did. So we need to get this alone, so we just take away 1. So now we're back to the problems that I was just doing, and we're looking for where does the cosine, which is x, equal 0. And when I go to the unit circle, my x equals 0 at these two spots, and this is asking for the angles in degrees. So the top would be 90 degrees, and the bottom would be 270. Here I'm trying to solve for sine, so that's like my x. So I would add 1 and get 2 sine theta equals 1, and then I'm going to divide by 2. So now I'm looking on the unit circle, where is the y, because I'm looking for sine, 1/2. So I go up to see where my y is 1/2, here and here. So that is at 30 and 150. So those are my answers. The answer is that will happen at 30 degrees and that will happen at 150. All right, here to get the sine alone, I just have to divide by 2. And all of these numbers are going to be on the unit circle. So I'm looking for where the y is -2. Keep in mind, for y to be negative, you're going to be on the bottom half of the circle because you would have had to go down. So here is where my y is -√2/2. And here's the other spot. So the two spots that solve that problem are 225 and 315. All right, here I'm adding 3 to both sides to get the trig part alone. And now I have tangent of 0. So I go to my unit circle. Where is the tangent 0? Here and here. That is at, in degrees, 0 degrees and 180 degrees. All right, last row. These are going to get a little trickier, but good thing you're smart. If you treat these like x's, like here's an x and a negative x, you need them all on one side. So I'm going to add this one over. And I'm going to have 2 cosine theta minus square root 3 equals 0. Now to get the cosine alone, I move this over. So now I have 2 cosine theta equals the square root of 3. And to get cosine alone, my last move is to divide by 2. Now I go to the unit circle and I say, where is x, which is cosine, √3/2? And x is √3/2 here and here, which is at 30 and 330. So the solutions to this are 30 and 330. Okay, so this one's kind of tricky, but the only way that one thing times another is 0 is if one of them is 0, because 0 times anything is 0. So I either need this to be 0 or I need this to be 0. So on the unit circle, I can look and see where cosine, meaning x, is 0. And that's going to be at the top and the bottom. So in degrees, this one gives me the answers 90 and 270. Now I have to figure out this other one. When will this be true? This will be true when the sine is 1. And that's going to mean I need a y value of 1. And that actually only happens in one spot, and that's up here. So that is at 90, which I already gave as an answer. So 90 and 270 are my only answers for that. Okay, these are going to be a little bit trickier because they have a square. I'm going to go ahead and add the 3. So now I have 4 times sine squared equals 3. I have to divide by 4. And then just like we have always done, to get rid of a square, we're going to need to square root it. And when you do, just like always, we need a plus minus. This will cancel. So I'm down to just sine. And the square root of 3, I don't know, but the square root of 4 on the bottom just becomes a 2. So now when I go to the unit circle, I'm looking for where the y, because it's sine, is either positive or negative √3/2. So I'm going to have more answers. So if I clean this up a little bit, and I am looking for any place that my y value is √3/2, positive or negative, I'm looking at these 4 spots. So that would be 300, 60, 120, and 240. So all 4 of those answers. And it's not uncommon to get 4 answers. So what did we have? 60, 120, 240, and 300 all worked. It's not uncommon to get 4 answers when the problem has a square in it because you get that plus minus going. So last one, to get rid of this square, again, I use a square root, and again, I need plus minus. So I end up with looking on the circle to see where does the tangent either equal positive or negative 1. And when I look on the circle for that, I again find 4 spots. It's positive, negative, negative 1 in these 4 spots. And so these are my 4 answers, and they're asking for them in degrees. So 45, 135, 225, and 315 all work. So you don't really have to memorize the unit circle, but the faster you can find stuff, the easier it is to use it for the problems that we're going to do, like the solving. So hopefully that helps. Have a great day. Bye.